I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, movie fans. Welcome to Screen Snark, a podcast for the movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I'm Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
What's up, people of the internet?
We're at it again, doing another movie podcast.
More punishment.
Yeah, no one has stopped us yet.
No.
I still expect them to break down the door.
One day the police
Whoever
will
the
come.
them is, though, I don't know, the police of the internet?
The man.
The man?
Anonymous. I don't know. Who's in charge of the internet now? It's like a lawless wasteland.
I feel like it depends on who you ask.
Yeah, Gritty.
Gritty.
Gritty's in charge of the internet.
I also...
And Gritty loves our show.
He does. I believe it.
Because he loves one and all
It's
of
true.
us.
He is. I want to
little
introduce
queerdos.
our guest, who is Chuck Collins.
Hello,
The Chuck Collins.
How you guys doing?
Good. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I'm honored. I don't know if I'm the Chuck Collins. There's a whole bunch of them.
I mean, yeah, but
You know.
no
you're
one
like-
else writes the Bounce comic,
Yeah.
which you
This
write.
is true.
You're
know.
the Chuck Collins of Bounce.
That's true.
That's
There you go.
thank you.
Protector of the realm.
I feel. Oh wow.
First of his
That's
name.
a big honor.
I'm getting you to like write every promo and bio for me.
Boom,
Yeah, there you
boom,
go.
boom,
She's
boom,
good at
boom,
those.
Boom, boom.
Yes.
And we'll get into Bounce. And I just want a quick anecdote about how Bounce has become more like you and about you as it's gone on. Like, there's still fanciful elements, but like the Hoodie trilogy, as you released today, as of when we're recording, is very you. And I read it and wondered if it was about your partner as well. And then she commented on Twitter. I was like, Yep. All right. We'll get into that more, but you can check out what's the website for Bounce?
It's bouncethecomic.com.
There you go. So go check that out. Not now though. Keep listening.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, unless you can multitask, because podcasts are for idle minds but busy hands.
True.
So,
That is true.
let us keep you company while you sew something or cook something or bathe,
Draw something.
or draw something.
Man, do people listen to us in the bath?
I hope
feel like
so.
that would be
hold
super
on.
intimate.
Hold on. If they are, we got to do something. Hello, movie fans, and welcome to your Screen Snark
She's getting all sensual on us.
soak session. One day I'll do ASMR. It'll
More
be
off
great.
the rails every episode.
Ugh, boy.
fine.
Nah.
Or I can come in and be like, hey, what's up, y'all? This is Chuck Collins.
There you
As
go.
you sit there and cook that barbecue chicken,
Oof.
listen to this movie podcast.
Doing that deep Barry White kind of like, hey, everybody.
Man, I
It's funny.
wish I were in a bubble bath.
But I make that voice like, I'll sit here and do it, but I can't do it on the fly. When I try to really do it,
Yeah.
like you get the sexy time and you want to
Yeah.
do it, and your voice ends up being like, "Hey, what's up, baby?" And then you just like, it doesn't come
Yeah,
out.
no, on purpose works a lot less often than by
Your face
accident.
gets all weird, and you're like, hey.
I promise this is a podcast about movies.
Is it, though? But
I feel like I have stolen that clarifier, though, from your other podcast, as they always clarify that it is about Marvel movies.
yeah. Is it, though? That's
it?
the question. This one is about movies.
I have to make my quota of referring to your other podcast at least once an episode, too, because I'm a fan.
Yeah. It's getting weird, Storm. It's getting weird.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm glad.
But let's jump into talking about the most recent movies we saw. I will start, as usual, and I've got a doozy. I decided that it would be a good idea, because it's the only one I hadn't seen. Yes, I've watched them all. I watched the most recent 2017 release, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Oh, boy.
And I learned a lot about how my tastes have changed, how much I really don't like Johnny Depp, not that I needed more reasons, and how in the more recent movies, they create really compelling side leads that would be better to focus on, and yet the focus still comes back to Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Every time. So the first thing I learned is that Jack Sparrow's shtick does not hold up in 2018.
Okay.
I thought he was charming when I was younger. I thought he was funny. He's drunk all the time. I feel like also in the earlier movies, he was probably not as over the top as he is in the later movies.
Because, Curse of the Black Pearl, I've watched in subsequent years because, I just really like that movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the charm of Jack Sparrow has changed for me in that movie.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of so different.
Well, I think
but I'm
that-
just wondering
I think that's
how
also-
different the performance is now versus what it was then.
That's a good question. I haven't watched the earlier movies back to back with the later movies, but that also, remember, Orlando Bloom was the lead in that movie.
Yes.
Not Jack Sparrow.
That was
Jack Sparrow
very-
became
I
the
do remember
lead
that.
in the subsequent movies.
Oh yeah, the movie where they did Calypso, I was just like, and I'm out, and I'm
Yeah,
out
that
forever,
was,
and I'm out.
At World's End,
Yeah.
I believe, was
Yeah.
that one.
I think the only time I came back, because, you know, like, as an old head, when I saw, you know, Jack Sparrow, I was like, well, he just acts like every drunk dude I've ever worked with at a bar.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't anything. But
It's
I
a
was-
familiar personality
Exactly.
to you.
But I was like, well, he's acting on, like, Keith Richards. And then when I saw in an interview, he said that he actually, you know, made
Right.
a character after Keith Richards. I think the only time I came back was when Keith Richards was,
Was in the
actually
movie. That was
movie.
in the last one, on Stranger Tides.
That's okay.
He played his father in a guest role.
But I think that's
Yeah.
the only thing that I remember, because I think I was as drunk as Jack Sparrow watching that movie.
Well, in this movie, there's also a really ludicrous cameo when he's being dragged through a dungeon. His uncle is in the cell, and when he turns around, it's Paul McCartney as his uncle, because in a ton of makeup and dreads and everything. And I was like, and they have an exchange that held no purpose to the movie. It's just them bantering, and I'm like, why? So the plot of this movie is, spoiler alert, Jack Sparrow somehow escaped death and cursed an old sailor captain who now has come back from the dead with his undead pirate army to go after Jack Sparrow and get him. Meanwhile, a young lady and a separate young man are both trying to find the Trident of Atlantis so they can break a curse. So one of the lead characters is Will Turner's son, who is young in previous movies. The lead from the previous movies is now a young man and is trying to break his father's curse because in earlier movies his father got stuck on the Flying Dutchman with Davy Jones.
Right.
And so the start of this movie is his son as a young boy finding him, saying that he's going to break the curse, and then we fast forward to when he's an adult and can fight things. Meanwhile, there's a young lady who is really awesome in the movie but doesn't get enough screen time, but I can't remember the character's name because they treat her as, like, second fiddle, and, like, she's being charged as a witch because she's really intelligent and knows astronomy. Spoiler alert, at the end of the movie you find out she's Barbossa's daughter with almost no lead up. Like, because Barbossa's in it again. He's still a pirate. And, like, it's just, none of the threads tie together in a way at the end of the movie that makes any sense. Javier Bardem plays the villain who, like, is weirdly, like, he's speaking sort of broken English, Spanish, but, like, they're hiding his Hispanic, like, none of his clothes show him as part of the Spanish army, none of his, like, his weapons or anything. Like, it's just how he talks, and only in his flashbacks do you see that he is Spanish. But he's speaking in broken Spanish, but he's made very pale. I mean, I guess because also he's undead. It just seemed very odd, like, to play down things that make Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
It was very odd. The action was still great. The special effects were still great because they, like, that's formulaic at this point. Like, they know how to do that. But, like, every time Jack was on screen and talking his drunken talk, I felt my skin crawl. Like,
Yeah.
I just didn't care. Now, part of it is because, you know, Johnny Depp is human trash, as we found out in recent years. But beyond that, like, it's just the character doesn't seem to hold up to me. I just don't care about his drunken shenanigans and just barely getting out of the scrapes. Like, the other characters were all so much more interesting. And yet the movie is still sort of centered around him. It was just very odd.
Weird.
And, like, the writing was kind of a mess. There was a lot of, like, convenient plot point moments. Like, they find out that the zombie pirates can't go on dry land, and some of them die just as they end up washed ashore on dry land. Like, that's convenient.
Yeah.
It was, you know, and then at the end, Barbossa sacrifices himself to save his daughter, but there's no emotional payoff to it. Like, it just seemed really odd. Like, you find out about an hour before the end of the movie, and then the sacrifice happens in the last 20 minutes, and it's to take out Javier Bardem's character. Notice I'm mentioning actors for the most part, because I can't remember anybody's name.
That's okay.
And, like, to, like, kill him and save his daughter and Will Turner's son and Jack, and, like, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, for Barbossa's character, it does make sense for him to sacrifice himself for someone he cares about, because he's sort of done that in the other movies. Like, he's helped Jack when Jack was in a really bad scrape, even though he hates Jack.
Yeah.
But, like, this, like, there was no there was just no reason for us to care about him being the father of this young girl, other than it was.
It's just
And we know him from the other movies.
Right.
yeah. Weird.
That said, I will say all the supporting cast and like the day player comic relief characters are all back, and they're all in different forms. Like some of the ones who are in the Royal Navy are now part of Barbossa's pirate crew, and they're still very funny.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where two of them are about to be tortured, and one says to the other, "Hey, you should tell me where your treasures are buried in case one of us dies, the other one who lives can go get the treasures." And so one guy confesses, and then he goes, "What about yours?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't have any, but now I know where yours is." Like goofy movie moments like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a
Is the skinny one with one eye in this one?
no, he's gone.
Well, fuck this movie.
Yeah, him
That is-
and the shorter, more stout guy,
Yeah.
the balding guy.
Yeah.
No, those two haven't been in it since the original trilogy, I believe.
I think
Yeah.
I didn't notice that until the second one that he was the guy from the original English Office.
He was, yes.
Yeah, I was
the
like,
tall
wait, I don't
blonde,
know
yeah.
him.
I mean, also looks very different. He's covered
Yeah,
in
he is.
dirt and rags in
And
one, and like in a
fake-
suit in
like,
the other.
Blacked
Yeah.
out teeth
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
one eye.
But yeah,
What a dreamboat. For real.
I mean, the only kind of interesting thing was at the end of the movie, of course, spoiler alert again. I don't know that anyone actually is going to go back and watch this movie
Don't
anyway.
watch this movie. It
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
At the end,
Like-
the curse is lifted, and Will Turner returns, and there's a Keira Knightley's just at the very end of the movie. They get reunited, they hug and hold each other, and that as a fan of the original movies felt like I felt that moment.
See,
But
Okay.
but it wasn't earned that moment.
But-
it was just kind of there.
wouldn't have been so much more interesting if Keira Knightley was like, "Well, my husband's on a ship forever.
I'm
gonna go
Yeah.
marry somebody
Yeah.
else, I guess."
No, apparently,
That sounds Kira. That sounds tragic.
Damn.
So overall, I would say it was, and also I kept skipping every so often and not losing the plot. When you can skip scenes and not lose the plot thread,
Yeah.
that's a poor written movie.
Why couldn't she just be on the ship with him for all the times?
I don't because
Does it go underwater? Is
it
that
does.
why?
Well, and Will Turner became undead because he made a deal with Davy Jones.
yeah.
To take his
But like she
place
was
or something.
I'm just poking holes in this one
That's
movie
fine,
now.
that's
but
fine.
like she was on the ship with all of them.
Right.
At
And
the
like
time,
that
yeah.
ship could go around with real human people on it because it did have real human people. That's how
Right, but that was a
that's how
different
Will
ship.
Turner-
That's not the
That's
Black
true.
Pearl. That's the Flying
no,
Dutchman.
the Flying Dutchman had real people on it because
Did it?
Will Turner met his dad on it.
His dad
Yeah.
was dead.
Yeah, on it, but he was also on
But
it.
he
So
was-
like Kira could like fucking chill on it. Why not?
Oh, but he was kidnapped. I
mean,
thought.
Do you really
Well-
want to be like the only woman on a undead boat full of undead dudes and leave Will Turner to actually like? Now I gotta take out all these other dudes because they're coming after you. Like I don't.
Yeah,
it's
that's-
just it's weird, and then you don't get to like live your life as a human because now you sacrifice everything that you could have been for your dude who went out and became an immortal.
That's true.
Because he
true.
made a bad
You're right.
decision.
They all should
I
just
don't
die.
know.
It's
Like,
fine.
The whole thing is.
It's all sweaty.
Yeah.
And
It's all
probably
real sweaty.
the worst travesty of this movie is it had a post-credits scene
Oh God.
alluding to the
Why?
return of Davy Jones. So
I don't want
I'm willing to bet in another
I'm-
year and a half we will get another one of these movies.
I'm mad just hearing about this movie.
Oh, you
I
should be.
cannot imagine how you felt watching this movie.
So I will say that when I watched Stranger Tides, which was the previous movie, I liked it because it was based on a pirate book and they kind of just put Jack Sparrow in it. And so if you ignored Jack Sparrow, the rest of it was good.
Okay.
Also, what's his name played, is it Ian Black? Who played Blackbeard. I can't remember the actor's name. He was from Deadwood and a bunch of other stuff. The name escapes
Ian
me.
McShane?
Ian McShane,
Yeah.
not Ian Black. Ian McShane. And he was great as Blackbeard. Chewing the scenery completely, but he
Good,
was great.
good.
So yeah,
McShane.
this one, like, I thought that it would at least be entertaining. It was barely that. It was definitely very rarely funny. Yeah, I don't know why it got made, but it did, and I'm sure it made a boatload of money. So, but if I had to review, and then so you know, Chuck, at the end of our tale of telling of the movie we watched, we do a 3-word review. It doesn't have to be a sentence; it can just be 3 words.
Okay.
But I often make it a sentence because that's just how my brain works.
Okay.
And so, for example, mine would be, "Let's skip Jack."
Okay.
As in,
Yeah.
let's skip Jack Sparrow.
Just-
Don't need him anymore.
Okay.
Do another pirate movie.
Kill
Pirates of
the
the
Depp.
Caribbean is a franchise that incorporates so many pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kill the
Forget
Depp.
Make a whole-
Kill the
Forget
Depp.
him.
Depp is trash.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I watched. I'm
fun.
hoping that I do plan on seeing the movie you're about to talk about, and so I'm hoping that'll be my movie to talk about next time because I hear good things. You're so excited.
Sunflower.
Yeah.
Okay, so this over this past week, I got together with my crew from the Infinity Podcast to watch the newest Marvel property release. It's in association with Marvel Studios. It's called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I'm sure you've heard of it. This little indie flick.
I'm sure you're aware of this little animated gem, following my continual pattern of old musical animation. I did it. I watched another one. Shanks at it again with a fucking animation. This was transcendent, though.
Really?
Like, truly a feast for your eyes and your ears and your heart, and it's well paced, well timed. Just it's incredible, and I knew it was gonna be fun, and I
Right.
knew it was gonna be like, because like Lord and Miller, number one, Lord and Miller should just do all the properties forever, just like that. The end, like just give them everything to do because they're just so good at it. So I knew it was gonna be fun, and I knew it was gonna, like amp me up because animation. But I really didn't expect it to be so technically good. Just
Sure.
in the way that like the beats reveal themselves, and in the way that you're moving at a clip, but like there's just enough time to like really hit like the heart of a moment, and then you're like back at it again. You're just like going and going and going. You're like, ooh, my feels, but we gotta keep going.
Yes,
like
I
your
agree.
feels, but you're like going, like you're just like chugging along. But I've said this before, and I'm sorry if you're like listening to me all over the internet. And mom, probably not. My mom doesn't even listen. But the idea of this movie was like very populated, but it was not overcrowded. It was very bright and colorful and busy, but it wasn't like distractingly so.
Yeah.
Because even while you were watching it, you were still like getting tiny references and still like grabbing onto like what you were into. There's little Easter eggs all over the place, and of course the music. I've been listening to the Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack pretty much every day, more than once.
I just got it
since I saw it on Thursday.
I got it yesterday.
Oh
It's
boy,
good.
it's so good.
See-
It's so good.
See, I knew that already just going based on the singles that have been coming
Yeah.
out, like the Post Malone song and stuff like that. But what I want to ask is, since you're a Scott Pilgrim fan and you know how much I love that soundtrack
Yeah.
and how vital that is to that movie, would you argue that Into the Spider-Verse's soundtrack is a similar vein? Like,
It's not as vital to the storyline.
Okay.
There's a couple like emotional touch points that deal with music, and I won't get into spoilers, so you don't
Thank
have
you.
to worry.
yes. I spoiled a year-old movie that nobody should see anyway.
Yeah.
This is a movie
I
everybody
won't
should
spoil this because if you haven't seen it, you should like seriously stop listening to this. Go to the nearest movie theater that you can find.
Yeah.
Google Maps that shit and just go watch this.
That's
movie.
true. We'll still be here when you unpause us.
You pause it, go watch it, come back, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. But it really does. It does like. The music isn't as like large a character
Right.
as it would be in like a Scott Pilgrim or like a standard musical, but the music still like lends to the cadence, the general like da 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 of the movie, and it enhances it.
That's
it's
awesome.
it's like a little like extra bit of fun in the same way like the design of like some of that like off-centered animation, which is like a nod to off-centered printing when like printing presses were making a bunch of comics and like
Right.
the art would be just a little off, you know,
Yeah.
like the lines wouldn't be perfect, and like it kind of does that, and you get this feeling like, am I in a 3D movie? And you're like, no, I'm in an amazing movie.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's just it's stunning.
Did you see it as well, Chuck?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
do you mirror all of Rachel's?
Everything you just
Yeah,
said, I
just-
said, I don't need
ugh.
it. I'm going home. I don't need
Yeah.
something. No, you just covered everything. Like,
Yeah.
the only difference, like, I saw it, like, I think it was 4 days before the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
No, actually, no. It was, I think, 5 days. And I had to sit and say nothing.
For 5 days, you
You
couldn't talk to
know-
anyone.
Oh, I bet that was so
oh
hard.
my god! It was so
oh my
bad.
god!
Everybody, and you know what? And just because sometimes like when I get into these special screenings, I like to be like that guy. Like I show the ticket as I'm going into the movie, and I take a
Right.
picture. And put it
Of
on
course,
social
because you can
media.
put that out. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
That's
At the
you
very
know,
least.
And then I was like,
Yeah.
"Yo, look what I'm about to go see," and then like flooding. I hate your
With
guts.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
You know all this stuff, and I'm sitting there like, "Yup, I'm seeing it with everybody." But yeah, everything you just said, and as an artist from artistic standpoint, I think the art book is dropping. Today, if I'm not mistaken, like the art of Spider-Verse is, I think it dropped today. I'm gonna go pick it up tomorrow.
Oh
I
gosh!
just reminded myself. Yeah, and like I follow a lot of the artists that worked on the movie on Twitter, so it was just seeing like some of the like preliminary stuff that they can now post because they can
Right,
post
because it's out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it was
it's
just-
there. And
and like everything about the movie from beginning to end. And
Yeah.
here's the funny thing: I never really read a lot of Miles Morales going into this.
Me neither.
And
I've only read a
yeah.
few issues.
So and I was like, so I already knew what I knew from that, but
Right.
like going into this made me appreciate the character even more. And it's like no spoilers, but
Mm-hmm.
you go into this thinking it's going to be one way,
Yeah.
and it's a whole different.
That's
other way.
awesome.
And it's
Yeah.
it's so It's one of those movies. I don't think I've felt this way about a Marvel movie since Avengers dropped, where like the movie was going, and I was just like, I could watch this one every day.
Yeah.
Like I could watch this every day
Yeah.
and be like filled.
yeah.
Yeah.
And new levels would like present, like I just can't wait to
Yeah.
rewatch it and like dive further into it and
yeah.
like pay attention to even more like tiny references, and like really, because like the first one is just an experience where you're just like,
Right.
I did this and like there it was and I watched it and it was amazing. I can't wait to sort of like get further into it and like really like, not that I wasn't paying attention, but really like laser
Yeah.
focus in on what was happening. Like I'm so excited.
Yeah, everything I had seen from the trailers, like, I wanted to see it. So, it's funny, I forget how much I love Spider-Man because every time there's a terrible movie,
Yeah,
I get disheartened. And then I got re-energized because, and Chuck knows this because he watched me play it for a while, I've been playing
Whoa.
Spider-Man on PS4.
Yeah.
And so, up until, because I haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse yet, but I have said to many people, pretty much anyone who listened to me, Spider-Man for PS4 is the best Spider-Man media that has ever been made. It's the best writing, it's the best music, it's the best characterization. I loved it. And so now I'm really excited to see Into the Spider-Verse because I'm going to get 2 really great Spider-Man properties, which I haven't gotten in a while.
Can I tell you though, as
You're
like
gonna
a
have like
double,
7 great Spider-Man
you're
properties.
gonna see like what's gonna happen. They're dropping the new DLC for the new Spider-Man 4 PS4, and I think they're gonna have an Into the Spider-Verse
Costume.
for him. So
very
it's
cool.
like
That's
the same
awesome.
looking design and everything else, and
Yeah.
so I'm really excited for that.
I love that
But, yeah.
Miles Morales was in Spider-Man
Oh, yeah.
4 and Spider-Man for PS4. No spoilers, but like he plays a vital role, which was really great. And
Yeah.
like and I've been a fan of Miles Morales just from the little bit I've read, and because when the last time I was in a lull of Spider-Man, I started reading the Ultimate Spider-Man comics from the beginning, and it was really refreshing. They were really actually very entertaining.
Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
I read up until when Miles took over. And I was like, this is brilliant. This is a great passing of the mantle. This is a great character. And I was so excited to see him in other media. And so I'm so glad that he's in a movie. He's in the new game. Like, it's been really cool to see that. And, like,
Yeah.
even the trailer scenes, like, when Miles gets dropped off at school, and his dad is in the squad car, and he's like,
Yeah,
I love you. And he goes, I love you too, Dad. That's a copy.
That's a
Like,
copy.
just great. It seemed
good.
Just
so.
Loved
such good comedy beats,
Yeah.
such good storytelling beats. Just,
And those are my favorite
it's
comic book
craft.
movies too.
Yeah, it's
Is-
craft.
Is the ones that do comedy. It's why I love Thor Ragnarok. It's why I love the Guardians of the Galaxy's
Yeah.
movies, the first Avengers. Like, they all aren't afraid
Yeah.
to be funny. It's when they get super hyper serious
Yeah.
that it's harder.
just
Like,
can't.
I like Infinity War, but it's also a really rough movie to watch more than once.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have, because it's not going to be happy. It's not supposed to be happy. And there's
Yeah.
not going to be a lot of jokes.
I know.
That's just the design of that. And Endgame's probably going to be even worse as far as dark and heavy. And I get why. This is a pivotal moment in
Right.
the Marvel cinematic run, but it's heavy.
Yeah.
And I like things to not be heavy. Life is so heavy right now.
I
Yeah.
know. It's funny you say that because I remember when Infinity War first came out, the very first thing I did in the movie theater when people were getting pissed off, I was laughing. The reason why is because I remember reading the comic book when I was a kid.
And you were
And
probably
I was like, I was traumatized the first time. This is nothing.
Yeah, right,
Like
of
I had
course.
to watch. There was one thing that he did. He turned Wolverine's adamantium into rubber and stomped them out, and I was like, I'm like 11. Like, wow.
Yeah.
This is what's happening now. And so when I saw he just turned everybody to dust, I was like, oh.
That's not that bad.
Okay. As someone who didn't read it,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
just like having a basic understanding of
Right.
like Thanos has this plan and like, I mean, he might do it, he might not. And then when it happened, I was like, I mean, they've got time travel. Like,
Yeah.
they've got
the
they've
problem
got like
is-
they've got like 8 different ways that they could undo this.
Right.
And then Doctor Strange is like, I only saw one way that this is gonna work, and I'm like, okay, so it's gonna be the way that the movie does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the
Like,
one thing I did say is like certain characters disappearing. Like I remember Sarah was really angry when spoilers for Infinity War, I guess.
Whatever.
When Black Panther disappears, she got so angry, and I'm like,
know.
"What are you mad about? They're already making another movie. Like,
Yeah,
he's
it's
not
like-
going anywhere. There's no way they're getting rid of Chadwick Boseman."
IMDb, Spider-Man's already got Far
Yeah.
From Home.
Yeah, like so
Man.
that took out the punch immediately after
Yeah.
going home and seeing all these movies in production. I'm like, oh, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Did you see like the whole where's Shuri thing on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
You guys, like, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. First of all, you know Shuri's coming back. Like, you know
Yeah,
everybody's
there's no
coming back.
way.
Yeah.
So like, y'all need to stop. I remember when the movie theater. Now I went to go see it in a black movie theater in Baltimore, like in a black neighborhood, and we watched it, and people were pissed. I mean, they
Yeah.
were still like, we just saw Avengers, yay. Fuck what they did to Black
Yeah.
Panther. And I was
Right,
like,
of course.
And I'm like, you know, there's the second movie coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know they weren't gonna. They made way too much money.
Yeah.
And then we already know Spider-Man. The second Spider-Man movie.
Far From Home
is coming
already
out.
coming
It's
out.
coming out,
So
like-
why y'all look? Come on, man.
Yeah.
This is the part of the adventure. People turn to dust, and
Yeah.
they come back. Like,
they come
They
back.
come back,
like-
except for the ones who don't.
Except for surprise.
The ones whose contracts are up.
well, they were too weak to come back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we move on to Chuck's
boy.
movie, Rachel, what is your 3-word review of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
I'm gonna have to pick something else because we did this on Infinity Pod because I thought it would be really funny and like.
Oh,
in
to
the
do
order
the
of orders.
3-word? Yeah.
I mean, on that show, I said more this, please. I guess to do it again, I would say, go watch now.
All right.
Go watch now.
That's a
Go
good review.
watch now.
Go watch now.
If you haven't hit pause already on this and you haven't seen for fucking real, go watch it right now.
Go watch it.
Stop it.
By the time
Yep.
you hear this, I'll have watched it.
Yeah.
So you should go watch it too.
Go watch it.
All right, Chuck, what was the most recent movie you saw?
Man, I kind of feel like I've watched like several movies on Netflix.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like picking one of those as opposed to the one I really just saw a few days ago.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Sure.
Because I was like,
I mean, I do have questions about the one that you did.
okay,
see.
well, if anybody wants to know, it's Aquaman.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
no one's seen it yet, and it's not going to be out until like what, next week? I think.
I
Or
think
the
it's
end of
next
the
week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't want to be like, all I will say, I had fun watching it.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna
That's
say.
what I want.
My question is, watching it. Can you forgive Jason Momoa for ripping pages out of Amber Heard's? Okay, hold on. Let me just stop the internet real quick.
Okay.
So apparently, during the filming of Aquaman, Jason Momoa would tear out pages from Amber Heard.
Yeah, I
Amber
believe so.
Heard's books, so he would pay attention to her. And so they had to build her like a green screen like bag to put her books in. So when she was on like the platform and like all this, he couldn't get to her books. And they're like the internet, like my internet kind of fell apart about
Right.
this, where they were like, Jason Momoa's an asshole, cancel Jason Momoa. Or they were like, oh, he's so wacky, destroying property, okay, whatever, And I'm of team, you ripped pages out of a book, good sir.
How
what
dare
are
you.
you doing? Like, that's not charming or nice. And I know I'm gonna see the movie
Yeah.
regardless of this. But will I feel like a cretin for doing it? Is it fun enough
It's fun
to
enough.
move past
See, now I
the
didn't even,
Momoa?
I didn't even know about the Momoa
Yeah.
at this point when I
Yeah.
saw it. So I
Yeah.
mean,
I just
Now
need
that
to know.
yeah. Now that I know about the Momoa with that in mind, it was still kind of fun to watch.
Okay, cool.
I will say. I mean,
Yeah.
that's we can have a conversation about that because I've seen that kind of behavior, but that's a whole
That's
Yeah,
a whole other.
just- like-
podcast that we should probably.
But
I don't know.
please do share with us the movie you watched on Netflix
Yeah.
most recently that you
Oh
want to
man.
share.
Okay, so all right, it's got to be a toss-up. I recently watched The Last Dragon again.
Okay.
For like the thousandth time. It
Sure.
was just like amazing. But the most craziest movie I've seen in a long time has to be. It's called Beyond Skyline.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you remember like years ago there was a movie called just Skyline?
I do remember
It
Skyline.
was like
yeah.
this weird thing where it was like these Independence Day type UFOs came down and they were like trying to like colonize Earth, but they were like taking all the humans. They were just beaming everybody up into like large waves of just people just getting snatched up into the sky.
What?
And it was really like it was weird. I mean, it was bad, but I like watching bad movies.
Yeah.
Bad
So I was
sci-fi
like,
movies are on a different level. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah.
It's, it was one of those they played around with this whole thing of like, you know, we don't really know why they're here, we don't know what's going on, but then it becomes apparent that at some point they assimilate the human race into making them into their own things, and it's just a really weird story when it comes to that. But the movie was done, and at the end of the movie, I don't want to give away no spoilers, but something really crazy happens. And I was like, okay, you just gave a whole sequel to a movie in the end credits that I don't think I'll ever see now.
Right.
So that was like 2011, I think. I'm on Netflix just flipping through a few days ago, and I happened to see this movie. Like, it says Beyond Skyline, and it has the same logo and type as the first movie. I was like, damn, they just stealing people's stuff these days. That's crazy. And then I watched the trailer, and I was like, oh snap, it's the same movie, but different people.
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole new cast of characters and actors and everything. I was just like,
But
oh.
it's a sequel.
Yeah.
But it's literally a sequel. And I started watching the movie, and it has the dude who played Skull and Bones from the Avengers movie.
Oh, Crossbones. Yeah.
Crossbones, yeah.
I can't
it's
remember the actor's name.
something Grillo, Frank Grillo, I think his name
Oh,
is.
yes, yeah.
He's also on that show, with the guy that used to be on Lost, and I forgot the name of that. I don't know.
That's right.
So
I forget names left and right on
I
the show. You're
I'm,
fine.
I'm horrible when it
Too
comes
many
to that.
dudes. It's
Just
fine.
all the dudes, and I'm sitting there, and it turns into, you know, the story is basically takes place during the same time, but in L.A., but a different part in L.A.
So it's at the same time as the first movie?
yeah.
But it's different people.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So this whole thing happens where they attack the police station. The aliens are coming down. They have to escape, and then they get sucked up into the thing, just like
Right.
everybody else, right? And then the son ends up the guy Frank Grillo's son, who is like this teenage. Well, not really a teenage. He's like one of those like I'm playing a 19-year-old, but in real life I'm like 35.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
dude. And then he gets, you know, assimilated and turned into this alien mech thing. And he has to fight his way out and somehow meets the main character from the first one. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it, but you'll see how that happens. And then he gets knocked out, and they take over the ship. And the ship crash lands somewhere. And then when it crash lands, it cuts to literally kung fu action. And
I'm sorry, what?
Kung fu, exactly. Exactly. Some dude is in a motorcycle, like a motocross helmet,
Yeah.
literally having a knife fight with some other dude in the jungle. And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? Now, I'm interested.
Right.
I need
Well,
to
because
see what
also
this-
it's like the old days where someone taped over a VHS movie, and so
Yes.
like
And then all
it
the
just
credits.
cuts to something
Exactly.
else.
That's exactly what it was. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, we got kung fu action, and it wasn't just like some like kung fu, like, you know, pretty Jackie Chan, Jet Li stuff. I'm talking about like the brutal, like new stuff that they do in like Ong Bak and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is getting kind of crazy. And then after this whole thing happens, you see in the off distance the ship just going down. So now they get going, and apparently they're like scavengers. So they go and they go to the ship, and then all these people meet up, and they take the Frank Grillo and all the other people who survived. They take them as hostages and everything. And then when the guy reveals himself, takes off the mask, and he's the dude from the Raid Redemption. You know if you've seen the movie
I haven't seen it, but I know
the
of
main
it.
character.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Then some other dude comes, and he's another dude from the Raid Redemption. So pretty much the entire cast of the Raid Redemption is in this movie. And I'm like...
As their characters from the Raid Redemption.
Now I wish.
Oh, okay.
That would have made it...
It's just the same actors.
It's just the same actors. So I'm like, what is happening? So the whole entire movie literally turns into Aliens meets the Raid Redemption. And then a little mix of like Pacific Rim kaiju, big mech alien people. And I was like, I had fun.
Okay.
I really had. It was horrible storyline, but the action was so crazy. I was glued. I was
You were hooked.
Stopped everything I was doing to put down my tablet and my Wacom and everything. I was like, I'm watching everything about this movie.
This
Wow.
movie sounds buck wild.
It is. It makes no sense. And the thing is, it's like the way they linked it. I was like, okay, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the story's so bad for both movies.
Yeah.
I'll eat that and just watch this just for the action.
Yeah.
That's
was this like a Netflix produced thing? Like
It wasn't even. I thought it was like a Netflix original. Didn't even have. I don't even know the name of the company.
So this, in theory, got made and released in like a theater or
This
something.
is like someone submitted this to festivals and
Yup.
was like, "This is the next."
They
thing.
had like you know who else was in that? Huggy Bear that used to be in Starsky and Hutch.
Really?
The dude, the black dude, yeah. He was even in there. He played like the old guy who was blind and knew everything. And hey, I'm
That
gonna,
stereotype.
thank
Oh,
you.
no.
Why is old black man who can't see?
He can't see. He's the only black dude on there, and he couldn't see. And I'm
boy.
like,
I'm crying at this movie.
That's
this
ridiculous.
that's the movie I saw this week.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it definitely sounds more interesting than what I watched, for sure.
I mean,
You know.
and then no, I ain't. This is. I'm not saying it's good, and I'm not saying it's horrible. I'm just saying if you want to watch a bunch of aliens get beat up and knife fighted to death by the guy from Raid Redemption, you should watch it.
You should watch Beyond Skyline.
Yes, you should watch it.
And what would be your 3-word
Oh,
review
boy.
of this movie?
I don't think I've ever heard a movie so
don't even
crazy.
know. I
They
can't
could
even-
not distill it down to 3 words.
Exactly.
This one is insane.
Damn. Knife fighting aliens.
There you go.
That's
It
it.
is.
That's
Knife
it.
fighting aliens. Perfect.
There it is.
Oh my
There
god.
it is. You did
oh Lord.
I'm sorry.
Wow. See,
best.
that's the kind of bad movie that, like, when someone describes it and says, please don't go watch this thing, you immediately want to go watch it.
I'm gonna go home and I'm
Like-
gonna look at my boyfriend and go, "Do you want to watch Beyond the Skyline?" Like,
Not
Oh
even
my God.
having seen the first one.
I don't even want to watch the
You don't
first
even have
one.
to.
I just
You don't
wanna-
even- They literally explain what happens in the first one, the end of the first one, in the
boy.
second one.
That's how little faith they have
Yes.
that people saw the other one.
And you know what made the movie even more? At the end, in the credits, I'm not giving away the end. You'll see
Yeah.
everything as it unfolds. They literally have a blooper reel that was actually just as amazing as the movie.
Of course it
no.
was.
And I'm like, and the thing about it is, I thought most of it was CGI. It's all practical effects.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that
That's what
sounds
made me.
rad.
That's really
yeah,
cool.
that's
Yeah.
actually pretty.
I
cool.
miss practical effects.
Me
There's
too.
not enough of that stuff.
So-
Something I forgot to mention in the stupid Pirates of the Caribbean
boy.
movie, they did a
Mm.
flashback scene. Instead of hiring a young actor who looked like Johnny Depp,
Mm-hmm.
they did the digital face on a young
No,
body thing.
no,
it was so
no,
bad.
no.
It's like Hollywood.
God.
Don't
Stop.
do this.
Stop doing
It's
this.
not. It's only worked once, and
Yeah.
it was with Captain America: First Avenger, and it's
Right.
because of the angles they shot.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no.
Stop. Stop this. Like, let dead actors stay dead.
Yeah.
Stop making old actors look young. It's
Although
freaking me out.
Although I have heard from people who've
Freaking me
seen scenes
out.
of it that making Samuel Jackson younger in Captain Marvel isn't as bad as it has been in other movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I haven't seen it, so I have no idea.
The only other movie I think that actually got that right even though I really wasn't a fan of the story for that movie, was the second Tron movie.
A Tron Legacy.
Yeah, when they took like
They made computer generated Jeff Bridges.
yeah, and they
It
just
was-
used like old stuff.
It
like-
was Uncanny Valley, but it wasn't as bad as it. Like I've seen worse.
Yeah,
Like I was able to
Grand
watch
Moff
it
Tarkin in
in
what was
Rogue
that?
One, right?
No, no, he wasn't in Rogue One. It was the one with. Oh, it was Rogue One.
It was Rogue One.
It was
Yeah,
Rogue One.
Yeah.
That was
Him and
really,
then also fake young Leia at the
Leia.
end of
Oh
the
Yeah.
movie.
god, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do
Oh.
that. Stop doing it. Let
Your
these dead
eyes
actors
just,
be
like,
dead.
Don't like with the eye, like it's in the eyes. It's in the eyes. It's creeping me out.
Um,
Did you guys ever see that movie Simone? It was like,
Oh.
was it Dustin Hoffman? Is
No.
like an agent, and he has this like digital actress named
No, it was
Simone.
Al Pacino.
It was Al Pacino. Oh, this one's crazy.
Oh, stop
So there's this digital actor that is created, and she's like a really good actor because she's programmed to be a really good actor. And everybody's like freaking out and trying to find out who she is or where she's from. And the only thing I truly remember from this movie was him checking into a hotel being like, oh, yes, it's for Miss Inomis, and it's Simone backwards. And I was like, what the fuck are we doing here, movie? What is even happening? Or like when they like digitize like a tear falling down her cheek, and he's like,
God.
this is perfect. And I was like, this is fucking crazy.
Wait, this is Al Pacino?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was called Simone, and it was real weird.
I'm gonna need producers to think that they're gonna get somebody like Al Pacino or Robert De Niro to come on set and act in their movies,
Yeah.
and not write them good scripts.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
just
get
because,
how
like,
that
oh,
happened.
It's Al
Yeah.
Pacino.
I mean, then again, Robert De Niro is in multiple Meet the Parents movies, so you
Yeah.
know, there's that.
you know.
Anyway, Chuck Collins,
Chuck Collins.
the creator of Bounce. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of Bounce since it started. I wanted to ask you first. So I know you're heavily influenced by pop culture and movies. You did a really great homage to Get Out in your comic, which was really good. When you're creating things that are homages to the movies, are they purely that? Or are they just you're a fan of that work and you want to find a way to pull it into your one shots or your comics to like pay homage to it?
Actually, yeah, I'm just that much of a fan.
Yeah.
Like there's the two of my favorite homages are oh shoot, I should say three of them is actually Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
That
Very
I
good.
did. There was where the bouncer has this thing where every Halloween he turns into a Hollywood monster from
Yeah.
like old school horror movies. So he turned into the plant.
Yeah.
And
Oh, very
saying, Mean Green Mother from Outer Space. And then the second one was during SantaCon where he tells, because apparently the bouncer and Yemaya, the two main characters in the comic, Yemaya summons Krampus to work the door at the bar. And these SantaCon dudes come in, they try to like act all stupid and everything. And then the bouncer comes out and he's like, what's going on? And then she goes, bring out the cramp. He says, but the cramp's sleeping. But I guess you won't have to wake him up now, won't you? And it's all like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that whole entire, thing. So it's like all the things that I used to see in movies that were like really crazy, like the parts that stuck out to me. Because, like I remember Mean Green Mother. When I was younger, when I was a kid,
Oh, yeah.
I sang that song all the time.
Sure.
I busted my tape trying to rewind that song all the time.
Yeah.
And same thing like in Pulp Fiction. Bring out the Gimp, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like,
What-
I just the
what
first
is this
time-
movie? Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know?
boy, Pulp Fiction. Like the first watch of that one, you're just
That's
like,
rough.
what?
You don't even quite know what you're
Just, you don't
experiencing.
know.
You're like, I think this is brilliant. but I'm not
Maybe?
Like
Sure.
kind of,
Yeah.
But I think the third one, like you mentioned the Get Out one,
Yeah.
was one that it was a joke that I happened to be when I was drinking, and then I said, "Yo, if I have any more whiskey, I'm gonna go to the drunken place." And they're like, "Oh, like the sunken place." I was like, "Next comic, right
That's
there."
it.
Boom, boom.
That's it.
Here's my question for our listeners who might not be aware of Bounce the comic.com. Just sell the comic to us right now. Elevator pitch it real quick.
Yes. Okay. The entire book is about two bouncers that work in New York City in a gritty dive bar.
Cool.
That the bar itself is its own thing. It's like a bar that stands out of time and just everybody goes there. And they're movie, anime, and sci-fi geeks, and they just deal with New York's craziest and drunkest bar patrons.
Love it.
And every night is a new experience. There's sometimes I just tell jokes about stuff that I used to deal with when I was a bouncer, and then there's other times where it goes into anime craziness, where they fight a rival bouncer
that whole series was great. And that was a long run too that you built up to that, right? You had done like a whole narrative arc with
It's like
that.
a whole half, because I split them up into seasons.
Right.
And what happened was it was like half the season I had made this build up to this guy called Dexter Donovan Jacques St. Croix. And he was like this evil bouncer that, that the bouncer used to know back in the day, and he's back, and he comes with these other weird clone bouncers type people or whatever. And it was just this long, crazy story. I won't give away any spoilers in case people want to read it, but in there was another homage that I did to Flash Gordon, where
Very cool.
There was like the Dexter. Actually, Dexter was based off of Mach, which is from Rock and Roll, the villain from Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know, for some weird reason, I just did this one panel out of nowhere because I was listening to the Flash Gordon soundtrack as I was drawing, and the Hawkmen actually come to save the day, but they come too late. And the person one of the bar patrons that called the Hawkmen to come ends up having to buy them all Guinness. So it was just like, but yeah, so that's basically it. And it's, people ask what kind of, because it's comics and people assume that comics is always superheroes. So,
but that's not the case.
No. And I say if the bouncer had any powers, it's the unlimited power of comedy.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you explain the fact that he drinks like 50 shots of whiskey and he's still walking around like the power of comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
just what it is, And but I throw in all kinds of different things in there. I think I do tend to do a lot of social issues in there as far as things that are happening around us that just affect. But from the perspective of someone that works at the bar.
Right.
Because the thing is, we hear all these different conversations. You go to a bar, the first thing that you hear are like just pieces of conversations, but about the same subject happening in the news.
Yeah.
And you get to hear all these different perspectives. And when you hear them, it becomes like you don't pick and choose. You already know what you think about the subject, whatever it is, whether they're talking about Trump, whether they're talking about, Black Lives Matter, whatever the case is. You're just like, okay, I already know what I think. Now it's interesting to see what they think and how they interact with you. And when they have that alcohol in their system, it's kind of like truth serum. So they're unhinged when they have their opinion. So it's like I take a little bit of that, throw it in there. And it's usually what I hear being thrown back to the audience. Like, I'm not sitting here making up. Like, I'm not going to make up something awful someone said to me just because I thought it'd be cool. This is what was said to me.
Right.
So I'm just giving it back to you, so.
Well, and I remember when the comic first started, you talked about how a lot of it was from your own personal experiences.
Yeah.
And like the bouncer has kind of evolved past that. Like the bouncer is clearly an avatar for you to a point, but also there is definitely fiction in there as well.
Yeah.
And what
Because I doubt you've fought clone mechs or
No.
If I would be talking to y'all from a mech right now.
Right, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Fighting clones. What do y'all want to know?
If you could ride in any type of mech, what kind of mech would you
don't say
ride in?
That's tough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool mechs out
yeah,
there.
it's true.
Okay, I got one for you.
All right.
Okay.
You guys anime fans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann. Yeah, that's the only one that's made for me.
I just
Yeah, I
wanna
want
I just
those.
wanna ride around in a dog one. I don't have a particular mech. I'm just
See,
like, get me
honestly-
a dog. I want a big
I
mech
don't know if
dog.
it's my age or what.
but I'm
but
soul bound too.
I hear mechs
It is
and
probably my
brain,
boyfriend.
My brain automatically goes to the mech
John.
that Ridley drives in the second Alien movie,
Oh,
in Aliens,
yeah.
with
Yeah.
the pincer
Oh, yeah.
arms. Like that's the mech I picture. Not anything cool like Gundam or anything. I picture
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah.
You've also done a ton of video game and TV references. You often become Akuma in your comics,
what-
and
that's what
I'm
everybody
guessing
said.
that's just from being a fan of Akuma and video games. How do you feel about video game movies over the last few decades?
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, my God.
Did
Okay.
you see the new Tomb Raider?
No, actually, I did
Because me and my spouse tried to watch it, and after like 20 minutes, she just went, "I'm bored." I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know it was still on."
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
just
boy.
not like the actress looked like her. Looked like Lara Croft from the newer games. But
Sure.
that's pretty much where it ended. Like, I just didn't, like, the acting wasn't great, the writing wasn't great, the cinematography wasn't great.
Yeah.
There hasn't really been anything that's come out that I'm a big fan of Silent Hill.
Sure.
And when that movie came out, I was so excited to see it. And then they had some things in the game from the game in there.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of creepy elements. I was like, But I think every time I hear there's going to be a movie for a video game that I like, I'm just like, nope.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually,
it's just
we can get your
hard.
hot take because the poster was only released recently. But how do you feel about that outline of the new Sonic the
Oh,
Hedgehog?
Jesus, no. No.
Why? Why? Just why?
First
Why?
of all, I don't understand. So look,
Why?
Illumination is partnering with Nintendo, the Minion guys, to do a Mario movie. Fine.
Okay.
At least it's animation. That makes sense for Mario. Mario should be animated.
For sure.
Because we saw what happened when we tried to make him live action.
I don't acknowledge
Yeah.
that movie existed.
Oh,
I've never seen it.
I weirdly
so-
like it, but I couldn't tell you why. Mostly, I think it's because John Leguizamo carried the movie for me because I love him.
Yeah.
But why we're making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie in the live action when obviously Sonic's gonna be animated, and we've got confirmed Jim Carrey playing Dr. Robotnik. Like, what are you smoking, Hollywood?
I don't know.
I just don't
There's
understand.
Money. They're smoking money, and they're like, you know what'll sell Pepsi? Sonic the Hedgehog. Ugh. That's always like my go-to thing when I talk about like Hollywood's like decision making. You know what'll sell Pepsi?
Yeah.
Feminism.
Oh, my God.
You know, it's just like, oh, I hate it. Ben Schwartz, why did you? Why
Yeah,
did you
I
say
love Ben
yes to
Schwartz.
this?
And when I heard Ben Schwartz was going to be the voice of Sonic, I'm like, that can work.
Yeah.
But like then literally everything else I've heard since, I'm
yeah,
like, why?
what is it? Patrick Wilson is in it.
Patrick Wilson's in it, and
person.
then also what's his name? He's one of the leads in Westworld, whose name I'm blanking on. He played Cyclops in the X-Men movies.
Oh, I know
Oh,
that guy.
the guy, the handsome
That guy, the handsome
Random
guy.
handsome guy.
So supposedly he's supposed to be in it
Right.
also as like one of the human characters.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
I
just
forgot
like,
he was Cyclops in X-Men.
I know. We all did.
Yeah.
What is he? What else is he in? It
Westworld.
doesn't
I
matter.
mean, he was in
in
Westworld.
Westworld, but he was in something. He was the prince in Enchanted.
He was the prince in Enchanted. That is correct.
right.
That's what I remember him from. Because when I saw him in Westworld, I was like, "You were in Enchanted. This is weird for me."
Oh, my God.
But yeah, I feel like
James Marsden.
James Marsden. There you
you
go.
go.
Got him.
Got it. Thank you.
Forever
Thank you,
cheated
Rachel.
upon by the ladies that he loves.
That's true.
Really?
Forever
Yeah, he
cheated
has
upon.
terrible. Well, like, yeah. Apparently.
He's always the dude that like loses the girl in the rom-com or like
like he lost Jean Grey,
Lost Jean
but she also kind
Grey.
of died.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And Superman.
and in
He
Superman,
was. He was the other guy
He
in
was the other
Superman,
guy,
dude, you're right.
and he was not chosen by
Leslie.
Amy Adams'
Yep.
character in Enchanted, but
I'm
he
mad.
ended up with Idina Menzel. So like, check please, thank
I'm
you.
mad. That was the thing that it made, when you just said that made me remember.
You're like, that was
Yeah.
the thing.
James
Yeah, that's how our
Marsden.
brains all work.
The
You're in good
guy
company here.
Can't get a girl. the girl he wants, like the first
The
girl.
people
He'll
who
get
probably
another
listen
girl,
to the
it's fine.
multiple podcasts I'm on know me as the guy who can't remember anything.
Yeah.
Because it's always, hey, remember the guy from that thing?
Oh,
What's his
I
name?
couldn't think of an actor on an episode of Infinity Podcast, so I was like, I don't know, like Jason Sudeikis, and that was the first person I came up with.
Wow.
Like the randomly
Randomly.
accessing like actors, I was like, who is an actor? Who are they? Just Jason Sudeikis, I guess. It's terrible. We're doing a movie podcast, and we know nothing about movies. What's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, exactly.
Imposters.
Should have like IMDb like right here.
yeah.
Right,
Nobody's
exactly.
gonna
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Nobody's going to know that's true. You can
I'll always admit it though,
Yeah,
because I can't lie.
So we talked a little bit about your movie's influence on you. When you were on my now retired music podcast, you and our good buddy Ed brought John Carpenter, who is known for his movie work. Are there any homages you haven't done in Bounce that you would love to do, or things that you can't quite work into Bounce, but you wish you could?
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I think since it takes place at a bar in New York, I think
nothing's off limits.
Nothing- yeah.
I've never thought about it from that point. I always have more trouble thinking about which one can I choose now.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what do I do next?
Yeah. Like I always think about. Sometimes I think about like what happens on the side between scenes, like when characters, I don't know, like in a rom-com.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when they're off camera. Or
When they're
whatever.
off camera, like, oh, well, I'm going to go to the bar and blah, 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 because my girl dumped me and I'm just going to go get hammered. Like, they come to my bar and get hammered.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I see that happening. But I don't know. I think the possibilities are endless when you could make those kind of jokes.
That's true.
Like, I
Yeah.
actually did do a John Carpenter one.
Did you?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
It was a Halloween special where the bouncer dresses up as Childs from The Thing.
Oh, okay.
And then
Oh, cool.
And then McGreedy comes to the bar, and then but it's like the age old, like, who survived and who was the thing and who wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically, when McCready gets there and he's just like, Childs, I've been looking for you all over the place. And he's like, oh, that's a really cool McGreedy outfit, man. Where'd you get that? He says, no, I am McGreedy. I finally found you, Childs. I'm going to kill you. And then these bouncers like, what the hell's going on? And he turns into the actual thing.
Oh, God.
Which is fun kind of to actually draw.
Right, to
Yeah.
change that up.
And then, but because the power of comedy, the bouncer had a blowtorch on him and then just
Took care of it.
took him out. That's
Love
how you
it.
do it.
I have liked how you, like, I always find it fascinating how you morph the bouncer, especially in those Halloween specials when he changes into other stuff. And then eventually Yamaya is just like, again with this. Like,
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
stop? Like, because it's often like, can you please change back?
Exactly.
I don't know how.
I don't know how to. Oh yeah, that was the first one. The
Yeah.
very first one, he turns into the plant from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Then when Yamiya's like, "Well, turn back," he says, "I don't know how to. I need to go to the hospital. Like I just can't. I don't know how to do this."
A
Like,
doctor.
Exactly.
Help. That's
Just
great.
do this, but
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
those were kind of fun. I think I did Little Shop of Horrors, Pumpkinhead. I did Godzilla one year. And it's always something that triggers him, and then
Yeah, and then he starts to transform.
That's
Yeah,
it.
like the Hulk, but
exactly.
not.
Just
It's
turns
like-
into
But not the same thing every time.
yeah.
My secret is Cap. Weird shit always
There you
happens.
go.
Exactly. There you go. I'm inclined to ask, what has been your favorite thing that you've seen in movies this year? Because there's been a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
First of all, my favorite trick is a friend of mine who's a performer, a burlesque performer, blew my mind just a few weeks ago when she said, "Did you know that Black Panther came out this year?"
Yeah, isn't that
And it-
crazy?
and it-
this
and it
year
drives
has
me-
lasted
It's
forever.
Yeah. Like that was
We've lived
February
in
of this year. And so anyway,
For our
with
whole
that said, a
lives.
lot of stuff has come out this year, and I'm curious kind of what has been your favorite thing that you've seen in theaters this year.
Honestly, it's funny. A lot of the movies that I do watch that have made me think, and that have made me like, yo, I really see that as a form of art, have been outside of the cinema. It's more been like something that I've streamed,
Yeah.
or if it's not at the movies, more like a TV show. But a lot of the stuff that came out this year, I know the convoluted formula that Hollywood tends to do over and over again when it comes to action movies, and
Yeah.
so whenever I see something, unless it's god awful,
Yeah.
like I'm just like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not gonna sit here and say, what was it that came out this year that even I think it was Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Avengers came out, I was just like, okay, we're getting more of the same. It's gonna be what it is. Okay, cool. But I think Ragnarok was the one that stood out to me the most because
Yeah.
it was just there was no holes barred.
It was off
Yeah,
the wall.
it was just wacky,
Yeah.
and I think Taika Waititi is one of the few directors of a Marvel movie that got to make it like a
His
Taika
Marvel
Waititi movie
Yes.
and a Marvel movie at the same time.
Right.
And I think that's great. That's why Iron Man 3 works so well because Shane Black got to make a Marvel movie and a Shane Black movie at the same time. It's whenever I'm doing the Infinity podcast now. We've already talked about this.
Yeah.
It's when directors get to do their vision within the bounds of the thing, and and everybody's pleased.
Yeah.
Which is hard. It's really hard.
I think the one film this year that really like changed a lot because there's certain movies I still haven't seen. I still haven't seen Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
haven't either,
good.
and I need
It's
to.
on Hulu.
I know.
Go watch
I
it.
need to go see it.
But you can't watch that while you're drawing.
No, I'm
Telling you,
why I haven't
Yeah.
watched
yeah,
it.
because
Yeah.
you will be like, wait, what is
Exactly.
happening?
Oh boy,
That's
I'm
what
sorry.
it
I
is.
may not watch Beyond Skyline when I get home. I'll probably watch Sorry to Bother
Yeah,
You because
see?
now I have access to it.
And I think the movie this year that really did it for me was Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because obviously the story was just insane.
Yeah.
Right,
It
of
was crazy.
course.
But I think what it did was it brought someone like Jordan Peele, who we all know,
Yeah.
the comedy and
Yeah.
everything else. And I was a big fan of Key and Peele. When it was
Who
out.
wasn't? That
And,
show was
yeah.
amazing.
But to me, it was like it only made sense that he went to this genre. Because
course.
if you saw the way that he set up a lot of the skits
Yeah.
in Key and Peele, they were almost like horror movies amongst themselves.
They were,
Yeah.
and they often had twists or left turns out of
Yeah.
nowhere
Yeah.
that like you didn't see coming.
Exactly.
And this is why horror and comedy can exist in the same
Yeah.
writer, because
Absolutely.
it is the setting of an expectation, the dropping of the shoe, and then the expectation is turned. You know,
Right.
like, oh, it wasn't a cat, it was a demon in the mirror, or like it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't your friend, it was a banana. I don't know. Comedy's weird.
There you go. But I think the reason why I was so impressed by it was because it kind of changed the game for me. Because even when I do something like Bounce, it's very hard because sometimes I don't feel I have like any kind of like real niche market of people that I'm trying to reach out to.
Right.
It's just about a guy and his best friend at a bar working the door.
Yeah.
And I try to put a lot of these elements in there, but the way that I try to tell the story is like real life. Like we're all friends and we're talking now about
Yeah.
movies
Right.
and things that we like. And then somebody decides to act stupid and I gotta go kick them out of the bar. So it's like that's just the way it happens. And when you watch a movie like Get Out, he mixed all these genres into one thing.
Yeah.
Comedy, social commentary, drama, and horror.
Yeah.
And it was just like all these things came together and made the movie what
Yeah.
it is. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, despite it could have been like anything. The fact that you married all those things in together in that one, I was blown away. And that
yeah.
changed the game for me. I was like, okay, I think I'm on the right track. It may
Yeah.
not be Get Out,
Right.
but it is, something.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's something that like I had to watch that movie several times, and it's one of those movies that like I don't know that I always want to watch that movie because of just how it hits you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing that I did love about that movie is that when it was doing comedy, it did it well. When it was
Yes.
doing drama, it did it well. When it
When
there
it
are
was
no
doing social commentary, it was like gut wrenching. Like I remember the scene with the traffic cop.
Oh, yeah.
Who's like, I want to see his ID, and I'm just like, my whole
Like, you
whole
just
body
tighten up.
is just like,
tell
because it's like real.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh my god, I could. Oh, that
it's,
movie.
It's crazy
oh
because
boy.
you know what part really got me was the dude, the brother.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you were talking about just now is like that's just but that's like a day that ends in Y. That's like
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
But with the thing with the brother being like when they were at the dinner table,
Yeah.
the way that he was talking, like that used to happen to me at the bar.
Yeah.
I'd get the
where
dude-
people are like asking you questions that
Yeah.
are faintly racist and like you're a black
There
guy,
you
you
go.
must know about this stuff.
Exactly. But in the same vein, like now I need to have a competition with you.
Right.
And they want to wrestle with you and they want to do all this stuff. And you're like, yo, dude, just relax. But
Right.
it's not because it's like you're viewed as this person that they need to conquer. I
Yeah.
just don't understand. Like, I mean, I do to an extent, but it's like when you see that, for me, that was the thing that made me cringe. Because
Yeah.
I was like, you literally captured a thing that I go through that I really don't talk to about with other people,
Yeah.
that don't look like me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you brought it to the screen and you made everyone feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing. And I was like, okay, applause to you.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
that was it for me. Like that was the scene.
And what with all of those scenes, what I liked is that he was still so masterful at bringing it back to comedy.
Yeah.
Like when we go back to his best friend, whose name I'm
Oh
forgetting.
my god.
So good.
But
Yeah, I know.
but I love that actor, especially after that movie. But like when he's looking up all these strange things about white people abducting things and like saying that he's in the Stepford Wives and like it's just And it's funny because he's pulling from real life references to very white focused things, very black focused things,
Right.
and things that run the gamut.
Right.
But delivering it in a way that everyone can be like, oh my god, that's so weird. Like it was so masterfully delivered in a way that like communicated, like you said, all the feelings, the funny, the horror, the uncomfortability, like all of that was so naturally delivered.
Yeah.
And like he just took you on a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, and none of it, and while it lingered in the moment, like it shifted. Like you
Yeah.
weren't you weren't in one zone for like the whole
Yeah, he just moved up.
2 hours.
He
was
made you
like,
sit with
and
that
we
and then move on.
And like
Yeah,
now
yeah.
now it's funny again. Now we're in co. Now it's so scary.
Yeah.
The
Right,
teacup.
right.
Oh God, everything's
yeah.
crazy.
That- The inspiration for the
Just-
Duncan place.
Right, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that whole scene, like every time I watch it, my heart sinks. Like I
Yeah.
get like anxious.
Oh yeah, there have been whole pieces written on that. Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like and the thing is, each piece that I've read has been like, yep, you're right.
Yeah,
It was
there's
just
no
like-
wrong interpretation. of it.
Yeah.
It's just
Perfect. No notes. Get out.
I loved it. I loved that entire. I think that was the movie that did it for me. And it was crazy because before I came here, I was racking my brains. What is some of the good movies I saw this year? I
Yeah.
can't even remember. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I really can't remember because it was just so much things that were coming at you
Yeah.
at once.
Of course, and if you didn't see
And-
something in the theater, like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
watching it after the fact.
Exactly. And it is, being like, my girlfriend is someone who's works in the business.
Right.
So she gets all these free screenings. Some like I can make it to, others I can't. So
Yeah.
a lot of the times when I do, I see a lot of these movies before they come out and I'm just like, I guess that was, I saw like, what is it, the Fantastic Beasts movie?
Uh-huh.
I never watched the first one, so I don't know what it's about. So I just went into it like, looks cool.
Yeah.
I really can't give.
Sure.
I don't know. I know people were upset by it. I was like, I don't know what to be upset about. So yeah, I'm mad too.
Yeah,
Dead.
we're all mad.
Depp is trash.
There you go. Well, I'm glad. Besides that,
Besides
I
that was the
already
opposite.
knew that going in. I was like, yeah, but,
Yeah.
it's what it is.
Hire someone else, Hollywood. Like for
Yeah.
real. Hire like anybody.
Like J.K. Rowling wasn't invincible. She was gonna make stupid white lady decisions eventually, and
Yeah.
she did.
I mean,
I'm so
God,
hurt.
her Twitter's just terrible.
Horrible
Just,
now.
ugh.
I'm hurt by Johnny Depp. That kind of. I was hurt by a lot of that stuff this year. Johnny
Yeah.
Depp got me because I was such a big 21 Jump Street fan.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy because I kind of based the friendship of Penhall and Hanson,
Yeah.
like the way that the bouncer and Yamaya is like that weird
Of course,
exchange.
sure.
Yeah.
And then when I was like, I can't watch 20. I used to watch this 21 Jump Street for no
All the
reason.
time,
Like I
yeah.
just watch it like this is on Amazon. But now I would look at it now. I'm like, I can't watch you.
Yeah.
You're terrible.
Terrible.
Chuck, thank you for being on the
Thank
show. This has been a
you.
blast.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
Before
so
we
much.
have Rachel ask you our final question, this one's a surprise.
The final question.
We of course have some thank yous to do.
Thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Yeah. All right. First try.
Got in one. Thank
Of course,
you.
also thank you to Katie Bug who designed our logo for the podcast. We love you. This is always fun. If you enjoy the podcast, please write us a review on Facebook
Yeah.
or on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah. Follow us at screen_snark on Twitter.
It helps us to get featured and followed and grow our audience. So
Yeah. Send
also-
us money.
Send us money.
No,
Yeah, no,
you don't have to
please
send
don't.
us money. Not yet.
But tell a friend. Tell one friend. If you tell one friend
one
and they
friend.
listen and they tell a friend, like it'll work out for all of us.
Sickness is catching. Oh, we're listeners, so
And before we wrap up and close this episode, Rachel asks all of our guests the same question. So now, Chuck, you have to answer this
Chuck.
question.
I must know.
Yes.
If you could choose any movie trope to be true in your real life, what movie trope would that be?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have guests who run the gamut of like they don't know any, they know
Yeah.
too many.
I do know too many.
Of
That's
course,
a
Yeah.
lot.
considering you told us you watch movies just when you draw in the
Yeah.
background,
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Okay,
you got it.
I got one.
Okay.
Only because I was on my walk over here. I was listening to "Ordinary World" by Duran Duran, and I don't know if you've seen that movie Layer Cake.
I have seen the movie Layer Cake.
Okay, do you remember that part where "Ordinary World" was in there?
Uh-huh.
When the dude was sitting in the diner, and he was like trying to ask his boy for money.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I have 5 quid. And then the dude was like, his why don't you take 10? It's a nice round number. And then he like hits him in the face with the plate and start beating the crap out of him. And I won't give away anything else, but there's one thing that he does in the movie. He goes, listen, I'm sorry about that, but you're not going to see me for a while. To Daniel Craig. And
Yeah,
the whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And then you see him and he leaves.
He's just gone.
And there's no police investigation. Your man got away with it because he came back at the end. And no one thought to think that, and no one called the cops. And I've noticed this in a lot of movies when it comes to like something that you'd see, like some dude is in the store and then he's about to rob the store and the guy comes in and beats the crap out of him, stabs him. It's like some, 80s thing.
Yeah.
And then, sticks like all these things in him and he's like all dead. And then the cops come in and he's like, and then the dude who did is like, yeah, that's how it happened. And then gets away
with it. So what you want is the superpower, the trope to get away with things.
Yeah, I want to be.
Get away with massively murdering criminals.
Yes, I want to be like the ultimate Frank Castle. I want to have the powers of the whitest white man in this country.
Yeah.
That's
There
what
you
I
go.
want.
There you
I
go.
want to have
All right, that's
just
real.
for like a day.
Don't we fucking all, man?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna be very quiet right now.
No. Let me then, just for the record, I really don't want that power, but I just find it interesting.
Yeah.
That trope does
that's-
happen a lot in
yeah.
movies. I forgot about that scene, but
Yeah.
that's a great scene in
It's
Layer Cake.
very good.
That's a great movie, listeners. If you have not seen
Yes,
Layer
it
Cake,
is actually
it's a
a
great British
may watch
thriller
it
movie.
after this, or I don't know, or play Nintendo. It's fine.
Good movies.
So many movies, too much consumable.
Thank you
media.
again, Chuck, for
Thank you,
joining
Chuck.
us. Where can
you.
where can our listeners find you on the internet?
I am on Twitter and Instagram, bounce_comic, at bounce_comic. And the website is bouncethecomic.com. And you can go there, see new comics. I used to put up a bunch of them every day, but life.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, no,
So
that's
they
legit.
come out any time that I can get
Yeah,
to
we
it.
can
get it
out.
And I'm also on Facebook as well. So,
Awesome. And if you want to see the most recent one, as of when we're recording, it is the hoodie scandal.
Yes.
You will know more as you read it.
Yeah, go read it.
It is. Go seriously. What are you
Why are
waiting
you
for?
Why are you listening to us? Go read it.
Go see Spider-Man and read this comic at the same time.
Don't do that
No.
at the same time
No.
because that's rude
yeah.
for
but
the movie
That's
and
true.
for the
read
comic.
it on the way to seeing the movie.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
Excellent.
I'm sure you've all
Excellent.
got, except if you're driving. If you're driving, don't.
No.
Don't.
If you're on the
If
train.
you're in the train.
Yes.
Yeah. There you
can
go.
download
Life
it
lessons.
yeah, all that. Yeah.
There you go.
We're off the rails. We're off the rails.
Dismount. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and we'll
See you at the movies.
Are